The news and press releases and build and price tool on the 2026 Toyota Tundra have been out for a bit now, but as these trucks are starting to hit the lots, it does raise the question that with this truck now available, is it worth exploring this new model year to upgrade from whether it's the current generation that's now 2, 3, 4 years old, or whether you own the previous generation and you've been holding out on upgrading because of reliability issues, etc. Or if you're just exploring trucks or new vehicles in general and you have not dabbled in the Toyota world, is this 2026 model year finally the time that would be a good effort to try out the Toyota Tundra? I'm in the boat where I have a 2024 Tundra, so if you're like me, you are just curious to see if there's any sort of benefit in exploring upgrading to a 2026. But I know most people are probably concerned about the ongoing reliability concern and stipulations around the new Toyota Tundra generation, which I've talked about in prior videos as the data showing it is mostly isolated to the 2022 and part of the 2023 model year as a production issue on the engine, and Toyota has made it right. So whereas my concerns going forward with this engine and truck are relatively low, people still have lots of concerns about it. So maybe you're in that boat and you're thinking, I do like the truck, and maybe this 2026 model year is now far enough separated from the 2022 redesign to make it worth dabbling in the market. Let's start off by looking at the first press release of the 2026 Toyota Tundra. So here, first, this picture here is the new Wavemaker color available on the TRD Pro. If you guys don't know, every year Toyota releases a new exclusive color for the TRD Pro trim level. And then in the next model year, that color from the previous year does become available on select packages. So you'll see that last year's TRD exclusive color Mud Bath will now be available in this year's model year on select packages of Tundra. But here's the new color for 2026, and that is Wavemaker. So curious to see what you guys think about that down below. I actually like it. I'm kind of drawn to that shade of blue on certain things. I don't know if I would get it personally myself on a vehicle, but it'd be fun for a little bit at least. I just don't know if I'd get sick of it. So if we read through these bullet points here on top of this article, the capstone interior is updated with a new type of textured leather trim. You can now get the isodynamic seats as an option on the TRD Pro trim, which is the same seats that they have been showcasing on the Tacoma TRD Pro. We talked about the exclusive color. The TRD 3-inch lift kit is still going to be available as an option, and you can now get that on the TRD Rally package, which is a fun new package available on this generation. One of the main things that a lot of people are going to like here is that the 32.2 gallon fuel tank is now standard on all grades instead of having to upgrade to that larger fuel tank, so that is nice. Again, towing capacities and engine and powertrain are going to be consistent offerings to what we've seen in the past few years of this truck. The rest of the article here just goes into more details on those bullet points above. I will link this in the description if you want to read it. One more thing that I do want to point out, though, is on the limited grade trim, which is the trim that I have on my truck. The interior seats are completely different. So I have soft tex leather in my 2024. 2025 had the same offering, but for 2026, they have upgraded that to leather. And I say upgrade maybe in quotations because honestly I don't think it's much of an upgrade. It's just different. I have had no problem with the soft tex. It's if you don't know, soft tex is Toyota's imitation leather. To me it seems just as durable. It still allows you to have the heated and cooled seat features. It's easy to clean. So while I don't know if this is an upgrade or not, it's something to point out when I go through the build and price tool, and I'm going to try to build out my exact truck that I built and bought in 2024. That will be one of the main differences in the identical trim. So if we hop over to that build and price tool on Toyota's website, we go to trucks. You can see we have the Tacoma iForce Max, Tundra, and Tundra iForce Max. Obviously, we're going to start with just the Tundra non-iForce Max because, like I said, that is the truck that I have, and what I'm going to do first is build my identical build to see how the packages map out, if some of the offerings are different, and how the total price as built compares to what I paid in March of 2024. So if we go in here and we build this truck, see we got SR, SR5, different options. I'm going to start with the limited because I'm building that truck out. So we are going to do the limited. We are going to click build. I have a Lunar Rock truck. You can see this mud bath color here. That is what I was talking about, was the exclusive TRD Pro color last year, and is now available if you were to add some of these packages. The required items here to be added are in the TRD Offroad package for $3,500. I'm going to add that anyways because I have that on my truck, but I did say that I would build this identical to my current truck, so we're going to stick with Lunar Rock. And then we're going to go to this black leather trimmed interior. I have the black Softex interior, but like I mentioned, this is one of the main differences on the limited specific trim for 2026 versus my 2024 or the 2025. We're going to go to four-wheel drive because I live where it snows a lot, and that is a must. And then we get into the packages. So the build and price tool this year looks different to me than when I built and priced my truck. Some of the packages are laid out differently, and instead of clustering a bunch of packages together and kind of picking different groupings, looks like you can more so add things individually, which is a nicer layout. So let's go through here and see. I do have the JBL premium audio, so we're going to add that. I do have the limited premium package, so we're going to add that. And again, here it'll tell you in order to get this, you have to add this. And so required items here are the TRD off-road package. So I am going to add that, and then I have to pick some up here, choose from required packages below. The 3-inch lift kit is something I do have on my truck, and that is available from the factory again for the same price, that $39.95. That's what it was priced at in 2024 as well. So we are going to add that. And then I'm going to add the normal outer mirrors, and we're going to confirm. So just like that, boom, we're already at almost $69,000. As we keep going, this limited PVM package, if we click see details, that's the panoramic view camera system, and I do have that on my truck. But if you see, when I add this to my selection here, it wants me to remove some of the other TRD packages that I added. So this is making me think that with the way this is configured for this model year, I can't combine those selections. So actually this $950 package here, which I have on my truck, I can't add to this configuration based on getting everything else. I do have the limited power package. I'm going to add that. The rest we already added there. Tow Tech package with wireless trailer camera system. I don't have that, so I'm going to leave that off. Have that option. I don't need tow mirrors. This off-road front skid plate, that's another interesting one. So on my 2024, I do have an off-road front skid plate. Not the TRD skid plate, but when you added the 3-inch lift then, it just swapped that skid plate to a different style in order to fit the components. But here it's saying that I can't even add that as an option, otherwise I'd have to remove the lift kit. So it's going to come with no skid plate apparently if you add this lift kit for this model year, which is kind of a bummer. It's an interesting change versus the way that I saw it when I built mine. Panoramic roof, $13.50, spendy, but I do have that on mine, so I'm going to add that. Again, there's that TRD skid plate that does not fit with the lift kit, and apparently neither does the normal off-road skid plate. I do have the heated and leather-wrapped steering wheel, so we're going to add that. I got a couple accessories with mine. I'm going to leave those off just because I want to compare the actual build of the truck itself. When I got mine, I did get the leather floor mats, and I did get the stainless steel color match door edge guards. That's like a $150 upgrade. I would recommend that, not so you can bash into other people's doors, but if you have a tight parking spot in your garage and you're worried about potentially opening your door into the wall or something, I have those stainless steel door edge guards, so I don't have to worry at all about damaging my door. I can damage the drywall all I want, but it's a pretty sleek feature. That is a good upgrade for your truck. I'd recommend doing that. So if we just do this and click finish build and kind of see how this all summarizes, right? We have the Lunar Rock Toyota Tundra here. There's the black interior. It's going to have the other leather, not Softex. It's got that offsetting color trimmed leather. It does look pretty nice. I'll have to go see one of these in person and just see how the seats compare to my current seats. Total amount is $73.75, and that is not including that $950 upgrade for the panoramic camera system, which I do have. So if I were to add that in, that would bring us to $71,325. So we're talking a little over $71,000, whereas my truck that I paid without those extra additions of the floor mats and stuff I was a little under $69,000. So we're talking somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 of price difference for 2 model years newer and basically no changes. The only change being that leather interior, which again, in my eyes, I don't know if that's an upgrade. I think it's just a change. Some people might view it as an upgrade. That's fine. I personally don't. So scrolling through what we did here, we started at that base $57,860, and then we started adding what we wanted, and it gets expensive quick, right? We got the JBL audio, limited premium, TRD off-road, limited power package, and that lift kit, and then with those other features like the panoramic roof and heated steering wheel, delivery, etc., all the way up to, again, that $71,000 range. So overall, to answer the initial question that is it worth it for me personally to upgrade? No, I'm gonna say not at all. It's not worth me upgrading to the 2026 versus the 2024. There's virtually no changes, and it's $3,000 more for the same exact truck. No, not worth it for me. I know some people might say getting the 2026 over a 2024 is worth it because of their concerns with the reliability issues. But again, speaking from experience and based on the data I've seen, I've had no issues with my 2024, and I'm not concerned in the 2024 reliability that it would be any different than the 2026. 2024 versus 2022, maybe, right? I would never buy the first model year of a redesign, and that's why I didn't. I waited until a couple years after. But between the 24 and 26, I don't think there's going to be any major difference in reliability seen between those model years if we zoom out and look fast forward down the road 5-7 years from now. So one other major consideration to think about is the deals and incentives offered at this time versus when they were offered at the time I bought my truck, right? Things change, and interest rates are ever changing. So let's view the current offers. I'm going to go to Minnesota just because that is where I live. I'm going to click on the Inver Grove Heights dealership. It's just a popular Toyota dealership relatively close to me. If we sort on trucks then, so we can get to the Tacoma and Tundra offers. So they split them up between offers on the Tundra and then offers on the Tundra iForce Max. First, let's look on the Tundra because that's the truck that we just built. If we scroll down, we see that the 2026 Tundra has a 2.99% interest rate at 72 months. Now, that's actually a really good rate for that term, for 6 years of term. If you finance the whole thing, though, you know, you'd be 1-2 years of it, and that would be underwater on the value of the truck versus what you owe on the loan, just because it's 72 months. It's so far spread out, but it would be a pretty favorable rate at $299, and it would be a relatively low payment for financing the full price of a vehicle. Another offer they have is $1,000 customer cash. You can't combine that with their interest rate, but if you financed elsewhere or if you were paying cash, you'd get that $1,000 cash back. And then there's some lease offers as well. I'm not too interested in looking at that. They have their normal college and military rebates. Those are standard kind of on all Toyota vehicles any time of the year. If we go back and we look at the incentives on the iForce Max engine with the Tundra, it's actually better. So you get $3,000 cash incentive if you want to go that route, or 1.75% interest rates for 72 months. That is a very nice rate, but it is on the 2025. So obviously they're incentivizing this to try to get that inventory off the lots as the 2026 comes in. But without the major changes, not a bad deal at all. Here's the 2026 incentive, is that $1,000 cash, the same as on the non-iForce Max configuration. Then we get into those rebates and lease deals, etc. I'm sure you could get the similar or same rate on the iForce Max as the other incentive of that $299 on the 2026 model year. Now there's the next portion of exploration into the Toyota family, and that is the other trucks and SUVs that they have available. The Tacoma, the 4Runner, Sequoia. Specifically, I want to look at the Tacoma and the 4Runner. You know, I'd be lying if I said I didn't at least think about what it'd be like to get into a different vehicle in the lineup outside of the Tundra, just because that's the way that my brain works. I like to try new things. I like to drive a lot of different vehicles, and so I'm about approaching that 2-year mark of ownership on my Tundra, and the wheels start turning. Oh, what could I do next? What should I do? Should I sell this thing? Should I look into something else? I don't know. But while we're here, let's take a look at the Tacoma for 2025, right? If we select that, just curious, let's build one together here quickly and talk about some features offered and see what the price turns out to be. So there's a lot of different base trims you could start with. I'm going to start with the TRD Offroad trim, which is essentially a glorified SR5 with that package, right? Let's just go ice cap white for the exterior color. And this is interesting, right? You get fabric, but if you go right into the black soft text, it wants you to add a $9,000 off-road premium package. We're already at a $53,000 truck, just like that, not even in a limited trim for not even a full-size truck. Let's just do it. Why not? So if we do that, there's other things available. I would want automatic transmission. There you go, another $1,100. Now we're at $54,000. Heated front seats aren't even on there yet. Well, we'll just leave them off for now. Let's finish the build as is, not with any other features besides getting the TRD Off-Road with the premium package and the automatic transmission, and we are at almost $54,000 for a Tacoma. There you go. What do you guys think about that? I was honestly expecting it to be a little bit less, so that's kind of shocking to me that you're already getting into, you know, you could get a similar featured Tundra without the TRD package for the same price that is a full-size truck. Kind of wild. Let's go over and start a new build with a 4Runner quick. Here we go with the 4Runner. Let's do the TRD Off-Road here as well. We'll do the same ice cap. Not even an option for the soft text at this point, so we'll just go with that. There you go. With this trim, no option for the soft text. You have 52. If we want to go back and select a different trim to kind of get it comparable to the Tacoma. We're probably going to have to go all the way up to the TRD Offroad Premium here, which is its own base starting point. And there you're, just like that, you're at $57,000. But you get the black Softex out of the gate. Moonroof, none of that, whatever. Let's just go with this. You guys get the picture. 57. So for a Tacoma with features, you're talking low to mid 50s. For a 4Runner with features, you're talking mid to high 50s. For a Tundra with features, you know, you're going to get into the low 60s unless you start adding crazy stuff like I did with the Lift Kit, and then you're going to push into the low 70s. Now, this shouldn't be news to anybody in this day and age, as things are just expensive, and if you want them, you're going to have to pay for them. It's the unfortunate reality of this day and age in the vehicle market. But what do you guys think? I want to know your opinions down below on several things. One, what do we think of the changes to the 2026 model year of the Toyota Tundra? Two, what do we think of the other offerings they have right now in the Tacoma and the 4Runner? Would you buy any of these vehicles? Do you own any of these vehicles? Is it worth the upgrade? Is it not? Let me know all the thoughts down below. My personal opinions here: I'm not going to upgrade from a 2024 Tundra to a 2026 Tundra. I would probably not upgrade to a new Tundra at all unless it was a complete redesign, which who knows when that's going to happen again, right? And then there's the other aspect as well. I do really love my Tundra, and I have not had anything go wrong with it. I'm a vehicle guy and I like changing things up, so I'm tempted to start to explore some of these other avenues. Or do we look outside of Toyota? I don't know. There's so much to think about in the automotive world. The possibilities are endless. Hope this provided a decent overview at the changes at the 2026 Toyota Tundra and just a quick snapshot of other offerings Toyota has right now. I think they're making great vehicles. The prices are not out of line with others in the market. The prices just are what they are, and that's the reality of the world we live in today. Overall, guys, drop your comments below, drop a like on the video. I try to scan through and respond and like comments whenever I can. And with all that said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.